Hi everyone, welcome to my first Facebook live video on Bodhi Yoga. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Suryadarshini and I teach, well up until now it's been live yoga classes at the Norwich Buddhist Centre. And also this is going to be a fairly short session. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to arrive, to tune in. I'm going to talk a little bit, we're going to move a little bit, and then we'll come down into stillness as well. I've taught a few Zoom yoga classes over the past week, and I've said as I've been teaching them, I'm not really going to talk very much about what's going on out in the world. I wanted to create a space for people to tune into another space inside of them. But this session is a little bit different. I wanted to talk a bit more about what's going on and how we're responding to it and how I'm responding to it. So as of last night in the UK, we were asked by the Prime Minister, told by the Prime Minister to stay inside, which most of us had started to do already, and there was a bit more guidance about how to do that and what sort of rules to follow. And I'm grateful for a bit more clarity about that, because I was starting to become much more uncomfortable with being out in the world and seeing other people out in the world acting as if everything was normal. Everything is not normal. We know this. And what I want to talk a little bit about today is how we engage with that truth. I've been making this shape a lot with my hands and my body actually. And I'm going to be talking about this shape, and then we're going to be moving into this shape, and then we're going to be sitting in meditation, engaging with this shape. So what am I doing? Well, on one hand, I'm gathering in. And I find that for me, sometimes when I'm feeling really overwhelmed and anxious, what I need to do is gather in. And I need to check in with my breath and myself in this moment. In this moment, I'm okay. I'm more than okay. There's beautiful sunshine coming through my window. I'm here with all of you. I'm breathing this breath. I'm okay. And that is really valuable and really important. And when I stay with that okayness, this is the beginning of development of metta. Metta is a Pali word. Pali is an ancient Indian language, a bit like Sanskrit. And it translates as loving kindness or friendliness. So when we tune into this space inside of us, when we connect with this quality, we're bringing a sense of metta, a quality of kindness, to our experience. And when we do that, then we can open up to whatever is there. So what is there might be joy. I've been feeling actually quite a lot of positivity today. There's quite a lot of appreciation and gratitude. So we can open up to that. But it's also an opportunity to open up to other experiences, maybe of grief, of frustration, of anger. And when we start from this grounded place of the breath, of being with what is there, then we can turn towards these more difficult aspects of our experience, but we can stay with this quality of kindness. Of course, we're frustrated. We've just been told to be inside. We don't know how long. Of course, we're grieving. We can't touch the people that we love. We don't know when we're going to see some of them again. We are not getting to participate in our lives, in the world, in the way that we had foreseen that we would for the next weeks, months. Of course, there's grief there. And by being able to be with those parts of ourselves, then we can start from this place, going from this internal place, we can start to open out. And we realize, oh, actually, there's other people just like me who are experiencing this. There's other people just like me who are disappointed and sad and frustrated. So we can maybe find a little word or a phrase that we can say to connect us to this truth. A really simple one is, others feel this too. So by starting with ourselves, by coming into that grounded place, by coming into that metaphor kind place, we can start to open up to not just what is present at this moment, but also what might be present for other people. And we can also start to turn towards their suffering, just as we turn towards our own suffering. And as long as we're maintaining that connection, we can even take that out a bit further. You know, if we're reading the news, if we're talking to friends, we may want to extrapolate or consider what this may mean for our future, what this may mean for ourselves, for our country, for our world. And those are conversations that are important, that they need to happen. This is a massive shift going on that has never happened before. And we need to engage and experience those conversations, those wanderings. But when we lose connection with ourselves, with how we are, then this tips. This tips into anxiety, this tips into franticness, this tips into busyness, this tips into overdoing it in our minds. And then we need to come back in to this breath, in this moment that is okay. So this is an invitation for you to feel what you need to feel when you need to feel it. To be aware that sometimes you're going to need to be in this moment, enjoying the movie that you're watching, the food that you're eating, the person who you may be fortunate enough to sit next to on your sofa. And then there's going to be times where you'll need to expand and turn outwards and consider what's going on outside of yourself. So be kind to yourself in that movement, and be kind to each other. Because we're all going to be at different places at different times. So we need to be sensitive as to where a person is, depending on how we speak to them or on what level we engage. And as long as we stay in touch with how we are, then we can meet them. And if it's not the time to have that conversation right now, you can say, that's okay, we can talk again later. You can come back to it. So really trust that each of us, we're not trying to block out the world, we're not just trying to put our heads in the sand, and equally, we can't spend all of our time out there, either imaginatively or physically for some of us, actually going out there and helping others. So finding our own balance and respecting each other and others. So with that in mind, I'm going to suggest that we move into another mode and start to feel this in our bodies. So if you have a yoga mat or something laid out, you feel free to move to that. I've got a simple a cotton yoga mat, which is very much just like a blanket. And I've got a few little supports. I've got some yoga blocks. I've got a meditation cushion that I'll be using later. But if you have a towel, if you have a cushion from your sofa, that's going to be fine. We're just going to do a little bit of simple movement, and then we're going to come down and sit on the floor. And if you'd rather sit on a chair, great. Okay. So moving on to your mat into standing, or your space, wherever that is. And first, feeling your feet rooted on the floor, spreading your feet, your toes as wide as you can. And you can shift your weight from side to side. You can shift your weight on your inside and outside of your feet. You can come up on your toes, roll your ankles, really feel that connection with the floor. And then let's start to step. So we're pressing one foot down and then dropping that heel. Foot down and then dropping that heel. So keep going. You can move forward and back, or you can stay in place. I'll just turn to the side a little bit so you can have a sense of that movement. Foot, toe to heel. And then let's take this up to the knees. So we can bring our feet together and do really gentle movement with the knees, little circles. really keep tuned into the connection of your feet with the floor. The part of Bodhi Yoga, the practice that I teach, is about tuning into sensation, about really being with that roll of weight as we shift from one side of the foot to the other. Seeing if we can keep our feet grounded and flat, and moving the knees in the opposite direction. And then let's move up to our hips. So no one can see you. You can go, you can make these hip circles as wide or as small as you like. And again, really noticing sensation. So it's easy for us just to, yeah, okay, I'm just rolling my hips. Slow down. Where's the tension? If you move through one shape, do you want to pause there for a few breaths, maybe moving a little bit back and forth? Probably all of us are spending more time sitting down. Let's take care of our hips, our pelvis. And other direction. Okay, coming back through stillness and then taking a broader step here. Now starting to shift from side to side. Now just careful here with your knees. You want your knees to stay in line with your toes. Yeah. And if the knee starts to go really far over your toes, make your stance a little bit wider. So we're bending into one side and then pivoting slightly, bending into the other. If this feels okay on your hips, you can actually just stay facing forward, bending and straightening the legs. It's up to you. If your knees need to be taken care of, to keep the legs a bit closer together, you can still invite the knees to roll out towards the toes. Don't need to bend deep. If you want to strengthen a little bit more in the quadriceps, if you want to open a bit more through the thighs, bend deeper. You can start to go a bit lower. Let's bring in some arms. So as you straighten your legs, reach your arms up, and as you exhale, bend. So again, this can be really soft. Maybe we just want to do a really gentle reaching and a really gentle bend. Or you can go really strong. You can bend to 90 degrees, have your elbows at shoulder height. Really reach on your inhale and really exhale. Gathering in the belly. Moving your pubic bone towards your tailbone. What does that mean? It means our bum isn't sticking out too far, and neither are we overarching to the front. So we've got this balanced movement where our tailbone's going right down towards the floor. So we're not sticking out or in. Keep going. Which movement do you prefer? Just notice, what does your body like? And then choosing a place to hold. So for some of us, that'll be up here, that sense of length and reach. For some of us, it'll be here, building heat. Keeping your feet active, knees rolling out towards your pinky toe. Each exhale, drop your shoulders, gather in your belly. One more exhale. Inhale, reaching the arms up if they're not there already. And then leave your legs where they are, but drop your hands down to your side, a little bit of movement of the shoulders, tipping the hips. And we'll do that same arm movement, but we'll bring in a bit of rotation for the legs. Again, inhale as you reach up. As you exhale, we're going to turn towards the side and bend your knee, not too deep. So we don't need to go super low. Your back leg doesn't need to be straight. What does need to happen is your belly gathered in and your tailbone dropping down. So again, we're not in this shape. We're drawing the belly in, dropping the tailbone so that when we bend, we're stretching across this hip, which will be very tired and tight after sitting all day. So as we bend, we can bend our elbows, bend our knees, stretch through the hip, maybe even open the chest. And then inhale, come back through center. Exhale, back here. You can be here, you can be here. Inhale, back up. Exhale, other side, bending. Stretching that back hip. Opening the chest. Inhale. Keep moving with your own breath. So you don't need to stay with me. Our breaths will be different lengths. We're inhaling up, exhaling through center. Inhaling up, exhaling. Keep going with your own breath. Let's do one more to the last side. No rush. Take your time to finish wherever you are. And then coming back. Step your feet closer together. Rest for a moment. Notice your heart. Notice your belly. Notice how you are. We're all here with you. Breathing with you. One more exhale. Taking your feet wide again. This time having your hands just above your knees. We're going to make our arms a little bit straight like posts and then drop one shoulder in towards the center as the other arm bends and we turn towards the side. So inhale through center, exhale to the side. Keep going with your own breath, inhaling through center, exhale, twist. You can look over your shoulder up if that feels okay. Inhale through center, exhale. So as always, up to you. This can be really gentle, not go very far at all. Or this can be much stronger, wider stance, deeper dip of the shoulder. And you'll feel how that affects your inner thighs as you twist. Last few movements. So now coming all the way down into a squat. I know this won't be for everyone. If your knees aren't happy with this, then just stay upright. You can still move from side to side, or you can even do this straight legged and just move your hips. And I'm going to be down here in a squat, rocking one hip open and then the other. So we turn towards one side, let that hip roll open and your foot may be even able to open as well. And then let's turn to the side, roll the arm up. So again, we've got this sense of expansive, bringing in, gathering back. Inhale, expansive. Exhale, gathering back. Keep going with your own breath. So again, if we're up here, we're inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling, opening the side body. Exhaling. Maybe you want to hold that sense of expansiveness. You may want to press that hand down on the floor and connect your upper arm to your inner leg, giving a little bit of pressure to invite the knee to roll back so you can get a bit more opening through the hip, a bit more reach through the shoulder. Last time, inhale. And then exhale, last time, last side, hands to the floor, upper arm on the inside of that leg. A little bit of resistance to help the leg open, arm expands. And then exhale, come in, and let's sit down. So some of us will want to sit cross-legged on the floor. I'd suggest if you want to sit cross-legged, not having your knees and ankles right next to each other, because that'll create pressure and also creates a little bit of holding in our hips, which we're trying to open. So a towel, some blocks, some books underneath, mean you have enough height so that your knees are underneath your hips. And take your first knee or front knee out in front, so then we don't have that pressure down through our ankles or our shins. If this is not for you, if sitting like this means that your legs are quite high and there's quite a lot of tension, you can kneel. So you may not have what you need for kneeling right at this moment. You need a little bit more height, which can be yoga blocks. It can also be books with a sofa cushion on top. We want a lot more height when we're kneeling, so that we're sitting down, and again, knees underneath the hips. If neither of those work for you, grab a chair. Rather than having a sit right back on the chair, as we normally would, come a little bit further out to the edge of the chair. And just like we did when we were doing our standing poses, we don't want to be too far back. We don't want to be too far forward, but have a sense of lengthening through the spine and resting your hands on your thighs. If they're too far forward, we're going to slump. We're finding a place after a few rolls of the shoulders that feels comfortable for you. So now let's come to stillness. There's no rush. A few rolls of the shoulders, moving the head or the neck. And finding a place for your hands. So going back to expanding out or gathering in. Traditionally, having the palms turned down will give you more of a sense of grounding and connection. So if you're feeling like you're a bit all over the place with your thoughts today, I'd suggest coming with your hands down, giving you that sense of connection to the earth. If you've been feeling a bit lethargic, a bit low, turn your palms up, rotates the shoulders externally, gives you a little bit more expansion through the chest. You don't need to close your eyes right away. You don't need to close them at all. Let your gaze soften. So often we look out, we gather in information about shapes and colours. Let's soften. Let your eyes soften back into your skull. Our chest, which can sometimes be pressing out, let's soften our heart back. We can drop our gaze or we can close our eyes. You don't need to be rigid in meditation. In stillness. Your breath is always making that movement. Gathering in and exhale. And expanding and inhale. So let's feel into that. We're not thinking about the breath, we're not watching the breath, we're feeling the breath as we breathe in. Feeling the breath subside as we exhale. Feel your breath from the inside. Where do you most feel it? In the belly? In the heart or the chest. In the ribcage. Maybe between your shoulder blades at the back of the body. And first we feel this breath inside of us. We can go into the sensations of the breath. You can feel that on the inhale, we can go beyond the edges of our skin to this space just around us, feeling like our whole being is gently expanding as we breathe in, subsiding as we breathe out. And if this feels okay, we may even start to feel like we can breathe beyond the edges of our skin, beyond the space around us. And we're broadening outwards on the inhale, and gathering in on the exhale. Maybe we can let go of there being a boundary that we're breathing out to. Maybe we can let go of a fixed center that we're exhaling to. One more full breath like this. And then gathering back to that area just around your body. The edges of your skin. And coming back inside this body, this U shape. Feeling the breath in your lungs, the breath in your belly. Feeling the contact of your seat with your cushion, your chair, your floor. And when you're ready, starting to blink your eyes open. And bringing in that movement again, very gently. Inhale, arms reaching, exhaling, grounding, Shoulders sliding down the back. Inhale, chest expanding. Exhale, elbows dropping, sit bones sinking. And then you can let that movement build. Rolls of the shoulders, moves of the head. And just before you move off of your cushion or your chair, having some connection with this last little while. And seeing if there's something of this that you can take with you into the rest of your day, into the rest of your week. This little moment that we can tune back into, that we can gather back into, that we're always here and always present when it's most needed. Go well, all of you.